Hello, I'm Carsten Spencer, and this is Flash Forum, entertainment for the new age, enlightened entertainment for the new age. And it's just me in the studio today, and I'm sharing with you today about the veil and that it's lifting. And I want to start by bringing us into this here and now moment and invite you to really open to the concept or the idea that our journey or our intention with this show and with this next 27 minutes is to call spirit in, call the soul home. Through the religious process, through a lot of spirituality, there's constantly, for many years, thousands of years, this idea that the goal is to somehow get out of this physical body, that this physical body is just a means to an end. The kingdom of heaven, the Garden of Eden, nirvana, whatever you want to call it, it's always about getting somewhere else. And what I want to explore for the next 27 minutes is the idea that perhaps spirituality is about calling spirit in, calling the soul back home, moving into this here and now present moment. So to do that, I want to use one of my favorite tools, very powerful and so simple. We're going to do the miracle in 3 breaths, which many of you may have done before with me. So I invite you to get comfortable, no matter where you are. Feel your connection with gravity, that energy that really gives us the experience of this here and now physical body. Feel your feet flat on the floor if you can. Just notice that connection to gravity. And for me, and perhaps for you too, as soon as I tune into gravity, I automatically want to take a deep breath. There's this connection, this energetic connection between feeling the body through that gravitational energetic umbilical cord that connects us to Mother Earth and the planet. There's this connection that when you put your awareness on that energetic magnetic connection, almost automatically we draw in the breath. I think of the breath as Father, the invisible spirit, consciousness, awareness, life force, and the body as it's connected to Mother Earth as the mother. So part of the balance, part of the experience of being here now, a big part of it is the breath and gravity. That's where it starts. So that's always a point of focus for me if I'm feeling stressed out, if there's a sense of being scattered, gravity and breath. And that's what this miracle in 3 breaths is, and it adds one extra element to that, which is the idea of toning, making a sound. So it really gives us a physical, creative expression that really also grounds us into the moment. So what we're going to do with this miracle in 3 breaths is breathe that Mother Earth energy right up into the body through our connection with gravity on the first breath. So exhale all the breath, we'll do that. And then as you exhale, just notice how you feel. Take a moment to notice. The next breath is going to come in through the crown of the head as though you're drawing in divine intelligence. And as you exhale, just consciously let go of everything you don't need. Just release old patterns, yesterday, any worries, any concerns. Let them fall away. On the 3rd breath, it centers from the very center of your heart. Feel it as though it's blossoming into your body as you breathe it in. And then make a soft humming sound as you exhale. And then just notice. And the way we notice is not just with the eyes and ears. What we're doing as we do this spiritual work, whether it's a yoga class, whether it's a meditation, whether it's a miracle in 3 breaths, whether it's singing or dancing, anything physical that you do, whether it's sports, whether it's a workout, we're drawing consciousness more fully into the body and activating these inner senses, which are also connected with our higher mind or that divine mind. We think of our mind as connected to the brain, and the brain is a wonderful, powerful computer that's processing lots of information all the time, and yet our mind exists within us and all around us. What we're talking about is divine mind. It exists in the breath around us, this invisible substance that without that breath, the brain stops working very quickly. So there's something very powerful and mysterious within the breath. The breath is also activating these different energy centers. When we hum, we're activating the communication chakra. So not only does it allow us to communicate and speak through words, it is also where we listen for deeper information. We also have this energy center in our heart, which is where we feel a connection with humanity and love. Our feeling center, very important. We're going to talk about the presence process in a little while. Really important and powerful process that helps you clear old emotional charges and move out of the ego mind, that struggle and chatter in the head, and move more fully into the body, into this power center, which is our solar plexus. So I want to do the miracle in 3 breaths one more time just to help get us grounded and centered. And then I'm going to share with you my journey of getting into the body and then out of the body and then back into the body again, and how that has led me into this dream team, this work that I'm doing now and is going to be starting in a couple of weeks, that I'm really, the more I do my research, the more I'm getting really excited about it. So let's focus on now our connection with gravity. And the other thing I want to invite you to do is the miracle in 3 breaths can be done both with the eyes closed and with the eyes open. And I really encourage people, whenever they can, to do it with the eyes open. It allows us to have that inner focus as we're taking in the outside world. And since this is about moving beyond the veil, or allowing the veil to disintegrate, and when I say the veil, it's that that invisible wall that separates inner and outer experience. And I believe that's where we're moving. Our evolutionary push at this point is to move through that. And the only way we can really move through the veil is really being fully here now, out of the head, into these other centers, heart, solar plexus, sacral center, into the experience of life. And calling that soul, that higher self, in. And I'll share more about that as I read some from these powerful books in a moment. So, miracle in 3 breaths. Feel yourself connected to gravity. Keep your eyes open, if you will. Just continue to watch me as you keep that inner focus. Exhale all the breath. We begin with the first breath, drawing that earth energy in through the body. And as you exhale, notice how you feel being present in your body. Feel with not just the head and the mind, but the inner senses. Next breath, drawing divine mind or divine intelligence in through the crown of the head. As you exhale, as though you're pulling a lever and releasing everything that's heavy, everything you don't need, past and future, right into the moment. Final breath from the center of your heart, as though it's growing from that kingdom of heaven within. Soft hum as you exhale. And then just notice, I want you to notice if the thoughts, the chatter has maybe stopped. Is there a stillness, an inner silence? Look at the room around you. Notice if it looks different. I've been doing this long enough that begin to see everything kind of shimmering with aliveness. Things look less solid. Kind of opening, or a lightness opens up in my head. I call it, it's not dizziness, although at first I thought it was dizziness. It's really lightheaded. That's what I would call it. And lightheaded may mean that we're opening up or moving into the light body. Things become lighter. We're releasing the heaviness as we invite in spirit into this physical body. So what I want to share is my journey into and out of the body, and how it relates to not only dreams, but the process of death, the process of moving out of the body. That what many people have shared about near-death experiences. And so I'm going to start just by reading something from Eben Alexander, who wrote the bestseller, which everyone kept talking about. Finally, I had to pick it up and read it. It's called Proof of Heaven, and this is a neurosurgeon who went into this deep coma. He basically was brain dead, and he had this experience of going in beyond the veil into this other world, where he says that he connected with heaven and with the God force, which he called Om, because the way he describes it, God was not big enough to encompass what he experienced. And this is the message he got. Once he moved into that space, he connected with a dream guide who turned out to be his dead sister, who he had never met, he didn't even know existed. But she was there and she met him. She communicated not with words, but with thoughts. And the first thing she shared with him, the most important information she wanted to share with him as he let go of his body and moved into this other realm, was, "You are loved and cherished dearly and forever. You can do nothing wrong, and there is nothing to fear." So, this is the message from the other side. This is very contrary to what we go through everyday life is when we're invested in this physical reality and we believe that that's all that there is. And even that those of us with spiritual beliefs, there's still that, at least for me, there's that doubt. Is all that stuff really real? We can get caught up in life. Some drama will happen. Something will happen. Our basic fear is about death. Oh my God, I'm going to end up broke, penniless, either in pain or I'm going to die. And of course, we all know that we are going to die. Or maybe we're not, if we believe some of the spiritual teachings like that of Jesus the Christ, who to me is one of my most powerful teachers, because if you look at what he said, his teaching was love, and that all this and more ye shall do. He came to teach us that there's much more than what we've come to believe in these physical bodies, which is what removing the veil is about. So, when I was a kid, I had some experiences that I existed beyond my body. We call them these days out-of-body experiences, but as a kid I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I had these experiences of when I would lay down for a nap. Often it would happen in the afternoon. I would lay down for a nap, start to fall asleep, and then I would go into this, what I would call this paralyzed state, where I would be lying there with my eyes closed, and I suddenly felt that I couldn't move, and I couldn't call out either. I wanted to call out to my mom, and it frightened me. I felt claustrophobic and scared. And as I lay there in this paralyzed state, I would often begin to hear this ringing in my ears, which that was often what I wanted to get away from, and I would become paralyzed. I found that if I allowed myself to move into that ringing in my ears, it became a vibration that began to move through my entire body, and once it reached a certain pitch, I was literally lifted up out of my body. And I would look back at the bed, see my body lying there. This would scare me, and I would go into the other room and try to get my mom to come in and wake me up. Of course, I was out of my body and she couldn't see me. And it's happened a couple of times. It frightened me a lot. I didn't tell anyone because I was just scared. I thought people wouldn't, I don't know why I didn't share it. I think maybe because I didn't want to make it real. But I stopped having these experiences. What I did begin having after that was what we now call lucid dreamings. Lucid dreams. I would start to become aware in my dream state that I was dreaming, and it was just ecstasy for me. I think partly because I had so much blocked stuff. I felt so trapped in my body, in a sense, which I'll explain about a little bit later when we get further in this story. But what I would often do when I would have, well, first thing I would do always to test whether I would have the sense, oh my God, I'm dreaming, and then to make sure I was out of my body, I would fly. It's the first thing I would do. I would fly, and I had this incredible sense of freedom because I knew if I was dreaming, I could do anything. I wouldn't get in trouble. There was no accountability. If I got scared or something into a situation that didn't feel right, I could just wake myself up. And so I had wonderful adventures as a kid, not the least of which, this was one of my favorite activities as a kid. I would fly down to the supermarket and run through the aisles or fly through the aisles, knocking everything off, smashing everything, and it was this most liberating feeling that I couldn't get in trouble, and I just wanted to smash everything. And I thought that was normal as a kid. I just imagined that other kids would have these same dreams, and I would always wake up feeling so free, so much more lighter, so really wonderful. So fast forward into my adult life, the lucid dreaming became less and less. I would sometimes have flying dreams and dreams of liberation, but I wasn't having them as much. But then I took this dreaming class, this lucid dreaming class, and began to have these out-of-body experiences again. It was actually right after I read Shirley MacLaine's book, Out on a Limb, where it talks about this out-of-body experience that she had. And I realized as I read it, I'm like, oh, that's what used to happen to me when I was a kid. I lay down to go to sleep that night, immediately heard the ringing in my ears, as though a part of me was just waiting for me to let go of the fear, lifted up out of my body, flew up and down Columbus Avenue, flew through the walls, and not soon after that, I got connected with this person who was giving a dream class, and I forgot to bring the book, but it's Rick Stack, and he wrote a book called Out of Body Adventures, where he used one of my stories in the book because he wrote it soon after I took this dream class. But it was amazing. We had some really powerful experiences. That class led me to connect with a deeper part of myself. I got connected with some dream guides, and I started having some real deep healing, or healing crises came up in my waking state. I got a foot injury that didn't heal, which led me to go to New Mexico and do past life regression, which ultimately allowed me to connect with my higher power. And I realized that my next part of my journey, if I wanted this foot to heal, was to move back into my body. And so I began not experiencing these lucid dreams. I had less and less out-of-body experiences because I was doing some deep healing. And what came up after my connection with higher power, after my powerful experiences of these past lives, which really helped me to heal my foot, and we'll talk about those in a later show. But I began really a 10-year period of healing back into my body, actually more than a 10-year period, where I would have some very deep and powerful experiences, but they were waking experiences during meditation, during deep chanting sessions. And what came up during my healing of my foot, as it began to get better, I began to have memories, and I began to have my dream world open me up into memories of childhood sexual abuse, which I had completely blocked, and which was why, as I began to heal from that, I realized that I had been out of my body for so long. I realized it's what had led me to yoga, to begin to move back into my body, and meditation. It's what drew me towards acting, wanting to be present and feel my emotional center. It's what drew me to dance and expressing myself with my body. So my healing journey for those 20 years, basically 30s, 40s, and into my 50s, was about getting back into my body. So much of my yoga, the healing work I did with clients, the energetic body work technique that I developed and worked with hundreds of clients, was about experiencing the body through my hands and being with each one-on-one client that I worked with. I was feeling energetically what it felt like to be present in the body, and it wasn't an intellectual process. My hands literally literally showed me this technique, and I began to experience these different chakras, and I would get pictures in my mind, and as I would work with people, and I would just be drawn to ask questions. I thought I was just making conversation, but I became aware very quickly that these questions that were popping into my mind allowed the client to move into a memory or an understanding of what was blocking the energy, and the sessions became very powerful. They became a discovery of these other energetic centers and divine mind and information that exists in the body. And so what I have been led to in the past few months is moving back into the dream world. I'm putting together this dream team that I'm really excited about, and you can find out more about it by going to my website. But what I want to share is some of this powerful work that my research has led me to. This is Dreaming the Soul Back Home by Robert Moss. I invite you to go to YouTube, check out some of his videos, read the book. The thing that led me to the dream work, first of all, was the presence process by Michael Brown, a powerful process that allows you to move into the emotional center, detach from the ego story, because the minute we go into emotions that we have been trained not to feel and not to trust, an ego story comes up that keeps us stuck in this pattern, that creates drama, triggers that old emotional pattern. If you find yourself in certain aspects of your life going, why is this happening again? Why does this keep happening? It keeps happening because your body is calling for healing, and yet an ego mind story is protecting you and keeping you from going there. This helps to train the ego mind to calm it and allow it to go into those deeper places. And what happened through the presence process is I began having dreams where I was processing and purging deep emotions. I was being taken back to scenes or scenarios either that had actually happened in my real life, or they were scenarios that my dream life was creating, the different, I call them psychodramas in my dream state, that allowed me to access emotions that weren't coming real freely in my waking state. And I began to see how the dream life and my waking life are mirrors of each other. They work together. And so when I was down visiting John of God in Brazil, which I've shared about on a previous session, I got this really strong download. I was asking for what's next in my journey, and the download I got was that you need to move back into your dream world, use these talents and abilities that you had from being younger and basically needing to escape from here and now physical reality, using the dream world to build community, to work in a group in the dreams, and to call spirit in, to, as this book says, calling the soul back home, or dreaming the soul back home. And the message I got in Brazil was to call the soul back home through work. So I want to share more about this with you, but right now I see our time is running out, so what I'm going to do is continue this on our next show. So thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure, as always. And as I roll our final credits, I want to encourage you to go to my website. You'll see it at the end as the credits roll. It's carstenspencer.com. Lots of information there. You can check out the Miracle in 3 Breaths. Thank you for watching, and watch next week, and we will continue this discussion. Thank you so much for watching.